Now, while the numerical part of this question is relatively straightforward, doesn't involve a lot of, it involves a lot of time but does not involve any complexity. Look at the third part of the question, which says comment on the reasons for differences in the production cost per unit between the two methods. The production cost per unit is 19.2, 34.8, and here it is 16.33, 37.67. So let's talk about the analysis bit now. uh, Total cost using traditional method, and we'll have total cost using activity based costing. Let's do that separately for plus and separately for double plus. Okay, total cost using the traditional method. How does that part work? Here 19.2, 34.8. 19.2, 34.8. Total cost using activity based costing 16.33, 37.67. Okay, this is how, first of all, you present the comparative part. Now we'll have to make a comment on this. See, the reasons for difference in the production cost per unit between the two methods. First is the allocation of overheads under the absorption costing system is done only on the basis of number of labor hours. ठीक है? In case of plus, you have considered 1 per unit, and in case of double plus, you have considered 1.5 per unit. Okay. In case of plus, you have considered 1. In case of double plus, you have considered 1.5. Now, this method of absorption of overheads is not appropriate because we are not considering the cost drivers, or we are not considering, or we are not mindful of the fact that different costs are influenced by different items. If we use the traditional absorption costing system, even for order handling cost, we are using the number of labor hours as base. Even for material handling cost, we are using the number of labor hours as base, which is in a way incorrect. One second, guys. Let's write down the comments here. Okay, so to begin with, the allocation of overheads using, or the allocation of overheads under the traditional absorption costing is done using the number of labor hours as the base. We have considered 1 hour per unit for plus and 1.5 hours per unit for double plus. This method of, or using number of labor hours, using the number of labor hours per unit as the base for absorbing all overhead costs is incorrect, because we have not used the individual cost drivers which influence the ascertainment of cost. You'll have to give one example. It is incorrect to calculate order costs per order using number of labor hours as the base. So first of all, what you have done is you have said that the method of absorption costing used is in the traditional method of absorption costing that you have used, that is incorrect. Now you will have to explain what happens in the activity based costing system. In activity based costing, ठीक है, in activity based costing or ABC, the business entity identifies individual cost drivers, that is, factors which drive slash control slash influence costs. अब इसमें give one example, but don't give the same example that you give. Don't talk about order handling cost. Talk about, say, the total setup cost. ठीक है. For example, uh, to calculate the total setup cost, we use the number of setups. For example, to calculate total setup costs, we use the number of setups as the base. This method of absorption of overheads is far more scientific and gives better results for cost. ठीक है. So this is how the overall this is how the overall calculation goes. And this is how you will comment on the difference between the two, that this one's more accurate and that one's not. The last part, what are the implications for management of using an ABC system instead of an absorption costing system? First of all, you commented comments for reasons of difference. Okay. Now, the last part is the implications of using ABC for management. That is the last part. What are the implications of using activity-based costing system for management? Okay, let's go. How will it benefit the management? See, when you use an activity-based costing system instead of a traditional absorption costing system, the cost value that you get, the cost per unit that you get will be a more accurate measure of cost. So, based on this, if you're doing pricing, which is cost plus pricing, then the pricing will be more scientific. Then decision making also will be improved greatly. When the company uses ABC instead of traditional absorption costing system. Okay, when the company uses ABC instead of the traditional absorption costing system, the company is or the company gets a more accurate measure of cost. Okay, the company gets a more accurate measure of cost. Therefore, if the company is using cost plus approach to pricing, the prices will be better determined, thereby improving and ensuring that each product is profitable. If your cost is correct, then naturally, or if your cost is more accurate, then naturally your selling price per unit that you are determining using the cost plus approach is better. That means now you will be able to ensure profit on every item. Each product is profitable on its own. Okay. These are implications. The second implication of using ABC for management, it helps in performance management also, and might be able to drive sales strategy in the long run. So this is what the second part of the answer should be. Okay. Now with this, now we have, I can say,